Hey everybody, welcome to BuzzList. We're so glad you could join us today. If you're like me, you're stuck in the past. The awesome past, that is. The 90s were a time of pure magic, filled with unforgettable moments and trends that still make us smile. We're talking about the 1990s, baby. A decade that brought us some of the most iconic pop culture moments and technological advancements. From Tamagotchis to Blockbuster, the 90s were a wild ride of neon colours, questionable fashion choices, and the birth of the internet as we know it. Remember the excitement of renting a movie for the weekend, or the frustration of waiting for your Tamagotchi to hatch? Make sure you're subscribed, because today we're taking a hilarious trip down memory lane with 10 things we miss about the 90s. We'll dive into the trends, the toys, the tech, and the tunes that defined a generation. And a huge shout out to all of you who are already subscribed. You guys are the coolest cats and kittens. See what I did there? 90s slang. So grab your slap bracelets, put on your favourite flannel, and let's get started on this nostalgic journey. Whether you lived through it or just love the era, there's something here for everyone. Let's celebrate the decade that gave us so much joy and left us with memories that will last a lifetime. First up, we've got those little digital tyrants we all know and kind of resented, the Tamagotchi. These tiny, egg-shaped devices were the bane of every 90s kid's existence, yet we couldn't get enough of them. These things were basically keychains that demanded constant attention. They beeped at all hours, reminding you that your digital pet needed something: food, playtime, or just a little bit of love. You had to feed them, play with them, and make sure they were happy. It was a full-time job for a kid, and it taught us a lot about responsibility, even if it was just for a pixelated creature. And let's not forget the less glamorous side of Tamagotchi ownership, cleaning up their digital poop. It was basically like having a real pet, but without the warm cuddles and unconditional love. Instead, you got a screen full of pixels that needed constant care. But hey, at least you didn't have to ask your parents for a dog. For many of us, Tamagotchis were the perfect compromise. They were a way to prove we could handle the responsibility of a pet, even if it was just a virtual one. Remember the crushing guilt when your Tamagotchi inevitably died? It was like losing your best friend, or at least your best pixelated friend. The screen would go dark and you'd be left with a sense of failure. It was a tough lesson in the fragility of life, even if it was just a digital one. But those little devices also taught us about perseverance and starting over. But don't worry, you could always just hit the reset button and start the cycle of digital neglect all over again. It was a fresh start, a new chance to be a better virtual pet owner. And so the cycle continued, teaching us about resilience and the importance of second chances. Over time, Tamagotchis evolved, offering more features and more complex care routines. They became more than just a fad. They were a cultural phenomenon that left a lasting impact on a generation. There were even communities of Tamagotchi owners who shared tips and tricks, creating a sense of camaraderie among those who were dedicated to keeping their digital pets alive and well. Today, Tamagotchis are a nostalgic reminder of a simpler time, when our biggest worry was keeping a tiny digital pet happy. They may have been demanding, but they were also a source of joy and a unique part of our childhood. And guess what? Tamagotchis are still around today, with modern versions that continue to capture the hearts of new generations. So whether you're a 90s kid reminiscing about the past, or a newcomer discovering the charm of these digital pets, Tamagotchis remain a beloved part of our digital history. Next up, let's rewind to Friday nights at Blockbuster Video. Remember the anxiety of trying to pick the perfect movie from a wall of VHS tapes? It was like a museum of cinematic history, except you could take these artifacts home for a night. For a small fee, of course. And don't even get me started on the late fees. Those little slips of paper were like parking tickets for procrastinators. But hey, at least you could rewind to your heart's content, unlike those newfangled DVDs. Ah, the symphony of the 90s. No, not Nirvana. I'm talking about the sweet, sweet sound of dial-up internet. That screeching, hissing, beeping noise that meant you were just moments away from the information superhighway. Of course, moments in dial-up time was relative. It could take like an hour to download a single song. And heaven forbid someone pick up the phone while you were online. It was like the internet gods were punishing you for trying to multitask. Remember Saturday mornings? No, not sleeping in until noon. I'm talking about waking up at the crack of dawn to catch your favourite cartoons. The excitement was palpable, as if the entire week had been building up to this very moment. It was the only time you could justify eating sugary cereal for breakfast while watching superheroes battle it out on TV. The crunch of the cereal, the vibrant colours on the screen, it was a sensory overload in the best way possible. From Animaniacs to X-Men, Saturday mornings were the best way to kick off the weekend. Each show had its own unique charm, its own universe to get lost in. The characters felt like friends, their adventures a shared experience. And let's be real, those 90s cartoons had some of the catchiest theme songs ever. They were more than just jingles, they were anthems that defined a generation. I dare you to try and get the DuckTales theme song out of your head now. Go ahead, I'll wait. It's impossible, right? That's the magic of those tunes. They stick with you, bringing back a flood of memories every time you hear them. Picture this. You in your pajamas, a bowl of cereal in hand, eyes glued to the TV screen. The world outside didn't matter. It was just you and your favourite characters. Even the commercials were part of the experience. Ads for the latest toys and cereals made you dream of what you could ask for on your next birthday or holiday. Meanwhile, your parents were probably in the kitchen, making a more traditional breakfast, but you were in your own world, a world where anything was possible. And after the cartoons were over, you'd spend hours reenacting the episodes with your action figures, letting your imagination run wild. Come Monday, the playground would be abuzz with talk of the latest episodes. Who had the best powers? What was the funniest moment? It was a shared culture, a bond that brought kids together. And let's not forget the merchandise lunchboxes, backpacks and t-shirts that let you carry a piece of that Saturday morning magic with you all week long. Planning for the next Saturday started almost immediately. You'd check the TV guide, making sure you didn't miss a single episode of your favourite shows. Setting your alarm clock was a ritual, ensuring you'd be up in time to catch every minute of the action. Those mornings were pure joy, a time when the simple act of watching cartoons could make you feel like the happiest kid in the world. So here's to Cartoon Saturdays, a cherished tradition that brought endless joy and unforgettable memories. Long live the magic of Saturday morning cartoons. Before Spotify playlists ruled the world, we had the art of the mixtape. Remember spending hours meticulously curating the perfect playlist for your crush? It was like sending a love letter set to music. And let's not forget the frustration of rewinding a cassette tape with a pencil when your Walkman ate it for lunch. It was a labour of love. But hey, that's how we rolled in the 90s. Hey, look, it's a bean-stuffed plushie. We were all going to be rich. Remember those little bean-filled creatures that took over the world? Beanie Babies weren't just toys, they were investments. Or at least we thought they were. People were convinced these things would be worth a fortune someday, so they were hoarding them like they were going out of style. Spoiler alert, they went out of style. But hey, at least we have fond memories of Princess the Bear and that creepy-eyed spider Spooky. You've got mail. Those three little words were like music to our ears back in the day. AOL Instant Messenger, or AIM as we affectionately called it, was the OG chat platform. It was how we stayed connected with friends, gossiped about our crushes and perfected the art of the away message. Remember spending hours crafting the perfect combination of lyrics and emoticons to convey your current mood? It was basically an early form of social media, and we were all about it. Let's be real, Pogs were basically just cardboard discs with pictures on them, but for some reason, they were the hottest commodity on the playground in the 90s. We'd spend hours battling it out with our slammer, trying to flip over our opponent's Pogs and claim victory. And don't even get me started on the trading. It was like the stock market of elementary school. Okay, let's be honest, some of the fashion choices in the 90s were questionable at best. We're talking about flannel shirts, overalls, scrunchies, and enough neon to make your eyes water. But hey, it was the 90s. We were all about grunge, hip-hop, and anything that screamed rebellion. And let's be real, some of those trends are making a comeback. So maybe we were onto something after all. Finally, we have to give a shout-out to the arcades. Those dimly lit havens of video game glory were where legends were made. Remember spending hours pumping quarters into Street Fighter II or Pac-Man? The competition was fierce, the graphics were pixelated, and the sound effects were gloriously 8-bit. It was a simpler time, a time when you didn't need a fancy gaming console to have fun. All you needed was a pocket full of quarters and a dream. And there you have it, folks. 10 things we miss about the 90s. From Tamagotchis to arcades, the 90s were a decade of fun, laughter, and some truly questionable fashion choices. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button for more hilarious content. And be sure to let me know in the comments what your favorite 90s memory is. I'm curious to hear all about your nostalgic adventures.